Bechoros Daf Ches. Today we have an amazing Agadata that might take us over the allotted 8 minutes, and I apologize in advance. The Gemara starts off saying that any animal that its zachrus is on the outside of its body impregnates the female, and if the zachrus is in the inside of the body, then they lay eggs. Therefore, this explains why you're not allowed to breed a wild goose with a domesticated goose, because the wild goose has its zachrus on the outside versus the domesticated goose, and therefore it's considered two different breeds. Any animal that mates similar to the other animal and their pregnancy is the same length, they could impregnate each other. Therefore, a sheep, for instance, which pregnancy lasts for 5 months, can impregnate a goat. Says the Gemara, any animal that mates during the day will give birth during the day, and at night will give birth during the night. If they mate both at day and night, then they give birth day and night. So a chicken which mates during the day lays its eggs during the day, and therefore it's a tremendous nafkamina when it comes to Yantiv. If you find an egg, you inspected right before dawn, and you found the egg, later you know that it came from the day before because it can only lay eggs during the day. And the fact that you didn't see the day before is because it went back into the chicken. It was laid 3/4, went back in. A bat mates during the night, gives birth during the night. Humans mate by day and by night, and therefore they give birth by day and by night. Only humans, fish, and snakes mate face to face because they had the schus of talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We know HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to Moshe Rabbeinu, etc., and HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to the fish by Yonah and to the snake by Adam and Chava. Gemara goes into a list of 11 different animals. What is the amount of time their pregnancy lasts for? A chicken is 21 days. A cat is 54 days, and a dog is 50 days. A dog corresponds to a fig tree, and a cat corresponds to a mulberry tree or a strawberry bush, according to Tosfos. A pig is 60 days, corresponding to an apple tree. A fox and other shrutzim are 6 months, corresponding to wheat, also called a tree. A smaller kosher animal is 5 months, like we said before, corresponding to grapes. A larger animal, which is tamei, is 12 months, such as the donkey, and corresponding to that is a date tree, palm tree. A large kosher animal is 9 months, corresponding to the olive tree, and then the famous group of dangerous animals, the wolf, lion, bear, leopard, bardalus, whatever that is, or a hyena, some say, an elephant, an ape, and monkeys are 3 years of pregnancy. And then we have something called b'nei shuach. According to Moshitas, that's a type of a fig, but an inferior fig, a white fig. The ephah, which is some translate as a viper snake, and over here we veer a little off course. It's not that the pregnancy lasts for 70 years, but they can only become pregnant when they are 70 years old. Similar to the carob tree, which can only bear fruit after 70 years, and it takes 3 years for the carob from blossoming until the fruit is finished. And finally, the snake. The snake is pregnant for 7 years, and as the Gemara says, this Rasha, the snake, doesn't have any corresponding tree. According to another shita, there is a tree called the muchsasim, which is a type of a fig tree. How do we know that the snake is pregnant for 7 years? Because it says in the pasuk, now, if it's cursed more than the chaya, then certainly than behema, because the chaya, its pregnancy lasts longer. Says the Gemara, just we have to take, there's a domesticated animal, the donkey, which its pregnancy is 12 months. It happens to be 7 times the amount of a cat. Cat is 52 days, times 7 is 364. It's almost a complete year. And if you take the donkey, 7 times that is 7 years, and that's how we got to the snake. And now we come upon the amazing Gemara of the story of Rabbi Shua ben Chananya and the Ziknei Atuna, the scholars of Athens. And before we start, I just want to preface and say that, as we know in all Agadas, the meaning behind the Gemara is very deep, and in fact, many svarim were written on this. There's a tremendous amount. I've never seen so many pages in the art scroll. There's 10 pages of explanation just on this sugya, on Omid Beis, probably a record for art scroll. There's a tremendous amount of Vilna Gaon, of Maharsha, Maharal, etc. But I do want to point out that Maharsha says that the 12 questions he asks, why does the Gemara bring the 12 silly questions, so to speak, of the Chachmei Atunas? What difference does it make to us? That the question seems silly, the answer seems silly. Says the Maharsha, no, it's a tremendous mashal for these amazing things. First of all, Kabbalah's HaTorah and the tremendous importance that Klal Yisrael has, and the dvekus that they have in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the nevuah that Klal Yisrael has over the nations, and the churban, and the nitzchias of the Torah, the everlasting Torah, and the length of the galus that we have, the concept of schar v'noinish, the concept that the body stays and the shema goes up to Shemayim, and what's going to happen in the times of Mashiach, all this is alluded to in the questions and answers that we're going to say. So the story goes like this. The Caesar asked Yeshua ben Hananiah, how do you say that a snake is pregnant for 7 years? Our people did an experiment and the pregnancy lasted for 4 years. He said, they made a mistake. You got snakes that were pregnant already for 3 years. He said, yeah, but they were mating, and animals don't mate if they're already pregnant, says the Gemara. So he told them, no, they're like humans, and they mate even if they're pregnant. So he said, but look, it's only 4 years. He said, you made a mistake. What do you think? Our people didn't check it. They're very smart. Says Yeshua ben Hananiah, the Jews are even smarter. So he said, yes, I want you to debate the Zikni Atunus, and that's how the story starts. He said, okay, build me a ship that has 60 rooms, and in each room 60 chairs. So he said, okay. Now he had to find these Chachmei Atunus. He had to go to Athens and find them. He went there and he found a butcher who was selling meat, and he says, would you sell me your head? And he said, yes, for a half a zuz. He gave him half a zuz and he gave him meat. He says, no, I said your head. And now you owe me a favor. If you don't want me to take care of you, you better show me where this Chachmei Atunas are. But the fellow was scared that they might kill him. So they made a simon. He'll put down his package, and that's the entrance. At the entrance, says the Gemara, there was watchers in the front door and watchers inside to kill anybody that comes in and to kill anybody that would leave. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Hananiah put a sandal in the opposite direction as if he was leaving. The Zkanim came out, saw that there was footsteps leaving. They killed the inner Shemrim. Then he took his sandals and reversed it, and it looked like people came in. They killed everybody. Now he goes in. Problem is, they were very smart. They put the younger ones on top and the older ones on the bottom, so that if you said hello to the younger ones, the older ones would kill you because of chutzpah. And if you said hello to the older ones, the younger ones would kill you because they were on top. So he figured this out, and he said hello to everybody in one shot. He said, what are you doing here? I'm an elder, a smart Jew. I came to learn Chachma. You're so smart. Let me ask you questions. And they asked him 12 questions. Here are the questions. Question number 1 is, if somebody tries to marry into a family and they don't accept him, shouldn't he go to a lower family? And they were alluding to, according to one pshat, HaKadosh Baruch Hu went to all the nations and they didn't accept the Torah, so he went to Klal Yisrael, meaning they are lower. So he says, no, look at this pin. I try to poke it into the wall. On the bottom, it doesn't go in. And I go to the top, it goes in. Sometimes you have different mazel. Even if you're rejected by one family, you could get into even a better family. They asked him, why is that somebody lends money and he gets burnt, he'll continue lending money? And he said, somebody cuts wheat and he can't carry it, he cuts more wheat, and then other people come and help him. One of the pshatim I saw is that it's like Torah, you don't understand Torah, so you learn more Torah, you have to learn more Mishnayos, all the Mishnayos, in order to understand the first Mishnah you learned, because the more you know, the better you can answer. They said, okay, tell us something that's a lie. He said there was a mule that gave birth, and it had a shtar on it that said that its father owed 100,000 zuz. They said, but a mule can't give birth. He said, that's the first lie. They asked, how do you preserve salt? So he said, with the placenta, the afterbirth of a mule. They said, well, a mule doesn't give birth. He says, salt doesn't get ruined. He said, build us a house in the middle of the air. So he said, Hashem, Hashem, and he hung between heaven and earth. And he said, now pass me the bricks and the mortar. And they said, we can't get to you. Oh, so you can't build a house between heaven and earth. He said, where's the middle of the world? He said, right here, and I'll prove it to you. Go measure. And since you can't measure, you can't prove me wrong. They said, bring the well from our field, bring it into the city. So he said, okay, if you could make string out of bran, then I will do this for you. He said, okay, could you please fix our mill? He said, yes, if you can make strings out of the rock, we'll fix it for you. They said, how do you harvest a field full of knives? He said, with the horn of a donkey, but the donkey doesn't have a horn. That's right, there is no field that has knives. They said, which one of these eggs is from a black chicken, which one is from a white? He said, which one of these cheeses is from a white goat, and which one is from a black goat? I saw a pshat that it's a long pshat, but the end of the pshat was that it's referring to the Soyer La'azazel, which is black, not black, but black in concept, and the Soyer that we shecht. And they asked him, when a chick dies within the egg, where does its ruach leave from? So he said, from the same place it comes into. And finally they asked him, what kind of tool is worth less than the damage that it causes? And he said, a mat of reeds. If you unfold it, you want to bring it to the house, you can't bring it to the house unless you fold it back. But if you fold it back, you undid it. So the only way to bring it to the house is to break down the door. Now you cause more damage than it's worth. So finally, they gave in to him, and he said, okay, come into my ship, and he brought them into the ship. And each one sat in a room. And they were very calm because they saw 59 other chairs next to them, figuring that their friends are coming soon. But that's what he did to all 60 of them. And he set sail. He brought them in front of the Caesar. He didn't believe that they are them because they were very tired looking. He had sand from their place. He sprinkled the sand. They woke up. They became chutzpahdik to the Caesar. And then the Caesar told Rabbi Shimon Hananiah, do with them as you please. So he had water that he took on the way, water that absorbs other water. And he put it in a barrel. And he told them, if you can fill up this barrel with water, you are free to go. So they kept on filling it, but they kept on getting absorbed within the water, and they couldn't until they withered away. Have a wonderful day.